grew up a few miles from here at 848 North 91st East Place, which is a super long address for a trailer park. I see that trailer park every week as I take the exit heading to the airport. I seldom go by there without thinking about all the lessons that I learned. Now, our trailer was on the very last row of that trailer park. It was 14 feet wide, 70 feet long. It was white with brown trim, had a giant tow hitch on the front, had a porch that my dad and I built so we could store all the pop bottles that we would collect and later resell. Now, you could smell the dark brown paneling long before you went in the trailer. When you walked in, you'd be in the kitchen, and we had avocado green appliances. We had green velour curtains. We had green linoleum floor. As you walked back through the trailer, you would see the thick green shag carpet. In our prized possession, we had a Curtis Mathis console TV in the living room. That just meant the TV was this small, and the console housed the record player that was playing whatever K-Tel record had come in the mail that month. As you walked back, there were 2 bedrooms. We had a washer and dryer positioned perfectly in the bathroom. Now, my bedroom, that was my safe place. You'd walk in and you'd see the twin bed that I would sleep on until I went to college. And on the dresser, everything that was super important to me. I had all of my softball trophies. I had a lava lamp, a black lamp. I had a pet rock. That was a thing. I also had Matchbox cars, and I had posters that were thumbtacked into the panel wall. My favorite Teen Beat posters, and some of them were, Charlie's Angels was probably my favorite, and my favorite of all was Kate Jackson. Now listen, that trailer park was my entire ecosystem. And as big as that sounds, there were fewer people in that trailer park than were in my freshman history class at the University of Oklahoma. I had no idea all the things that I was going to learn in that trailer park. I learned things like goal setting. I learned about inclusion. I learned about decision making, community, teamwork, resiliency. Now, I ended up at the University of Oklahoma because of a goal-setting conversation I had with my dad in about the 3rd grade. It went something like this: did you do your homework? Well, I just have to decide what I want to be when I grow up by tomorrow. This is what we do to 3rd graders. My dad listened to all the things that I said, and he said, well, listen, Tracy, I don't know what you're going to be, but I can tell you this. The only way you're going to go to college is if you go on a softball scholarship. Now, he didn't say academic, but I did have a pet rock. That made sense. He didn't say basketball. It was softball, which happened to be his favorite sport as well. And so he said something next that was a gut punch, but then he offered me a lifeline. The gut punch. Hey, this isn't going to be easy for you. You're not even the best person on the team. Oh, okay, all right. But the lifeline, that doesn't matter. You can have anything you want, Tracy, if you're willing to work for it. All you have to do is outwork everybody else. Okay, so that was it. I was going to go to college on a softball scholarship. It wasn't going to be easy because I wasn't the best person, but all I had to do was outwork everybody else. First goal set. Lofty for a 9-year-old, but doable nonetheless. I think that served me well as an adult because I'm seldom the best at anything, but I often am willing to outwork everybody else. I think when you hear that when you're 9 years old, what you know is you have some control over your outcomes. It gave me hope. I've never once felt like a victim of my circumstances. I've always felt like I was a product of them. Now, that served me well in the diversity, equity, and inclusion work that my company does. In that trailer park, listen, we were certainly diverse. And the inclusion piece, well, if you were there, you belonged. Nobody cared what kind of shoes you had on. Nobody cared if you had a logo on your shirt. All people cared about is that you were there. I'm not going to lie, though. Even then, I knew my skin color was going to be an advantage for me. But I didn't know that because of the kids. I knew that because of the adults. And the equity piece, well, that eluded us. We had no idea that we were on a different starting line than anybody else. Our starting line just happened to be in the trailer park. Now, I also learned a lot about decision making in that trailer park because I was the sole decision maker from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock every single day. As long as I got my chores finished, I did my homework, I could do whatever I wanted to do. Now, I had a silver bike with a purple banana seat. I'd jump on that bike. I'd ride through the trailer park. I'd visit all my friends. Sometimes I would go all the way up to Admiral Drive to Hank's Hamburgers. I'd walk in and look for my favorite waitress, and I'd ask her the question, anybody leave any fries today? And they always did. I'm pretty sure I owe Hank a bunch of money at this point on that. But sometimes I would also get in that bike and drive across the John Ross schoolyard. And I would go over into my friends that lived in brick and mortar houses. And one time after one of my outings, I went back and commented to my mom, "How come some of my friends live in houses that don't have wheels on them?" My mom very quickly said, "You should be grateful that you have a roof over your head." And I definitely was. So I kind of walked away. Then she softened her tone a bit and she said, "Listen, can you keep a secret? Come here." I said, "Yes, I can. I'm keeping a lot of secrets. Yes, of course I can." You know that. And then she said something I'll never forget. She said, "I'm going to tell you a secret, but you can never tell your brick and mortar friends. You can keep that, right?" "Yes, I'm never going to tell, so here it is. I feel sorry for those people, Tracy, that live in brick and mortar houses. Do you know if they ever want to leave, they can never leave because, well, they'd have to leave their home. And nobody wants to leave their home. They're stuck in that house." Now with us, anytime we want to go, we just hitch this trailer up, ride down the road. We can take our entire house with us, all your trophies, all the things. See, Tracy, we have something so much better. We have freedom. You understand that, right? I say, yes, we have so much better freedom. I never one time told my brick and mortar friends that secret. And I never one time thought about the towing capacity of our Ford Fairlane. Community was another valuable lesson I learned. Some days after school, we'd play soccer, and everybody would come to my house, my trailer, because I had two things. I had the best yard to play soccer in, and, well, I had the ball. But there were rules. Before we could play, we had to do my chores. Now, my chores were always the same. They were to do the dishes, we had to fold the laundry, we had to make both beds, and then somebody had to take the big plastic rake and rake the green shag carpet in the whole trailer. So after I assigned everybody their chores, my chore was always to go into the kitchen and put in a Tony's frozen pizza, Canadian bacon. I'd set the timer to 14 minutes, and then I'd go through the trailer cheering everybody on as they did our chores. I told my wife this story recently, and she goes, "That's so weird. That's kind of what you do for a living now." I was like, that's fair. That's fair. I loved being part of a community. I think being part of the community and feeling like I belonged, I think that was my favorite part of living in that trailer park. And I've been part of some amazing communities in my day, but I've also been places that maybe I didn't feel as welcome. Maybe because somebody found out I was gay, maybe because I'm Native American, maybe because female, I don't know. Maybe because I'm a Sooner fan. Oh, nothing, all right. When I think about all of those things, it reminds me that I think I've spent way too much time in my adult life worrying about what other people think. Being disowned by my parents when they found out that I dated women, and sometimes being uninvited to corporate meetings because people were afraid I would bring my girlfriend. Well, that sent me down a path of curating what other people think of me. I can't even tell you how many gay jokes I've listened to in my day, not said a word. How many times I just looked the other way. When I think about that now, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed at how small I was playing. I was in the habit of lying because, well, I didn't want to make anybody uncomfortable. And the truth is, I just couldn't take the rejection. It was just easier to fit in. I didn't want to challenge anybody's biases and sensibilities. I'd sure like to think I'm making up for lost time on that now. Lastly, I learned something so incredibly valuable. I'm going to call it resilience. Some people call it grit. I don't know what you call it, but it's that thing that where you know you're going to be okay. That thing that is total accountability, that you're responsible for the decisions that you make. You'll decide your health, wealth, and happiness. We're all one decision away from changing anything you want to change, or knowing that whatever you're not changing, you're actually choosing. I choose every morning to get up and be happy. I choose every morning to live in the possibilities of how big my life can be, and not the probabilities that some people might have seen for that girl in a trailer park. How do you get that if you don't grow up with adversity? I don't know. That's why I'm grateful for all of it. I'm grateful for the trailer park. I'm grateful for the lesson on goal setting my dad gave me on a random Tuesday night. I'm grateful for the secret my mother shared with me about living in a house with wheels. I'm grateful for a guy named Ronnie that would see me play softball and offer my dad a job at the Ford glass plant that would move us 6 miles away and would change my starting line. It would have me land in a school district that would regularly have college coaches like Marita Hines in the stands recruiting future players like me, that would go on and earn my college education on a softball scholarship. Looking back on all of that as an adult, you don't know that some of those hard times, some of those lessons that you're learning as a kid are going to be the best lessons you ever learn. I mean, I learned goal setting, I learned about inclusion, I learned about decision-making, teamwork. I learned all of that at what I lovingly refer to as my time at Trailer Park University. In the end, I think growing up in that trailer park, well, that definitely was the best education money couldn't buy. I'm so grateful it was mine. Thank you.